and welcome to this episode of Children's Church Online. It is great to be with you once again doing some children's church, which obviously we haven't been able to do in person, but I'm so pleased that I'm still able to do this. And so we've been learning about the theme of Jesus challenging us. So we're going to carry on with that today, and we're going to go over to teaching time. As I said before, today's teaching is all about Jesus challenging us. So we're going to delve into the Bible. The book, chapter and verses are coming up on screen for you. I suggest that parents and carers get involved with this and get their children into using a Bible for themselves. So I'm going to read it out for you now. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who was going to another place for a visit. Before he left, he called for his servants and told them to take care of his things while he was gone. He gave one servant 5 bags of gold, another servant 2 bags of gold, and a third servant 1 bag of gold, to each one as much as he could manage. Then he left. The servant who got 5 bags went quickly to invest the money and earned 5 more bags. In the same way, the servant who had 2 bags invested them and earned 2 more. But the servant who got 1 bag went out and dug a hole in the ground and hid the master's money. After a long time, the master came home and asked the servants what they had done with his money. The servant who had given 5 bags of gold brought 5 more bags to the master and said, "Master, you trusted me to care for 5 bags of gold, so I used your 5 bags to earn 5 more." The master answered, "You did well. You are a good and loyal servant. Because you were loyal with small things, I will let you care for much greater things. Come and share my joy with me." Then the servant who had been given 2 bags of gold came to the master and said, "Master, you gave me 2 bags of gold to care for, so I used your 2 bags to earn 2 more." The master answered, "You did well. You are a good and loyal servant. Because you were loyal with small things, I will let you care for much greater things. Come and share my joy with me." Then the servant who had been given 1 bag of gold came to the master and said, "Master, I know you were a hard man. You harvest things you did not plant. You gather crops where you did not sow any seed. So I was afraid and went and hid your money in the ground. Here is your bag of gold." The master answered, "You are wicked and lazy servant. You say you knew that I harvest things I did not plant and that I gather crops where I did not sow any seed. So you should have put my gold in the bank. Then, when I came home, I would have received my gold back with interest." So the master told his other servants, "Take the bag of gold from the servant and give it to the servant who has 10 bags of gold. Those who have much will get more, and they will have much more than they need. But those who do not have much will have everything taken away from them." Then the master said, "Throw the useless servant outside into the darkness, where people will cry and grind their teeth with pain." A great little story there. But what does this story tell us? It tells us to make the most of every single opportunity that God has given us. And we're going to have a look at this week's focus scripture, which is this. "You are righteous, Lord, and your laws are just. The rules that you have given are completely fair and right." God has given us so much. And I want you to take the opportunity now to have a look at some of the opportunities and some of the things that God has given us. May you understand and make the most of everything that God has given you. So now we're going to go over to our craft corner, which is linked in with this teaching. Hi, and welcome to this episode of Caroline's Craft Corner, incorporated in Children's Church Online. So we're going to get on with some really cool crafting. So what you're going to need is your pens, your pencils, some white card if you've got it, and some scissors. So assistance with younger children will be needed on this craft. Firstly, take your piece of A4 white card, fold it in half and cut it in half. Just as in the story that we've just listened to, I want you to draw a bag. So they were talking about bags of gold, weren't they? So what I've done here is drawn a rough sketch for you here. You could do similar to me, or you can maybe look at one that is similar on Google Images. Once you've finished that, what you're going to need to do next is, so I wrote in the bag, so if you can see that very clearly, all it says is a little phrase that I wanted to really highlight from this teaching, which says this: I want to make the most of the opportunities God has given me. And at the bottom, I've put a reference to the psalm that we've been learning. If you can remember it, it is this: You are righteous, Lord, and your laws are just. The rules that you have given are completely fair and right. Next comes the fun part of decorating your craft. So what you can do is use your pens and your pencils, and if you've got anything else in a craft box like stickers or glitter or glue, you can use them as well. And then what you're going to do is cut out your craft. I have finished my craft, so here it is. Ta-da! There you go, there's a little bit of a closer look. So what I've done is just use some pens and some pencils, and I've gone over some of the written bits so that I can see them a little bit more. And the lesson that I want you to take away today is to make the most of the opportunities that God has given you. And maybe that starts with praying to God and asking Him, what are the opportunities that I've got this week, God? And how can I make the most of them? Thank you for joining me again on this episode of Children's Church Online with the edition of Caroline's Craft Corner, and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye.